Hi, welcome. My name is Nicholas Blooms. I come on here to talk about anything that's been helping me on my healing journey, whether we're talking about transition, detransition, spirituality, all the fun stuff, right? Um, well, this morning I've been seeing this guy, like nothing against this guy. I'm not talking trash about this guy. I've been on 2 dates with this guy, and tell he tells me this morning, being like, I only see you as a friend. And I'm like, okay, I appreciate your honesty, but what made you realize that? Because, well, what first came up when he said that, oh, I only see you as a friend right now, do you mind just being friends with me? I was like, okay, let me process this, because a lot of feelings were jumping out. My inner child was like, oh my god, there's something wrong with me. Like, I wonder if he's thinking I'm too feminine. Like, maybe there's something wrong with me. Did I say something? Like, my inner child that was wounded, like this wounded part of me that was like trying to figure out, like, analyze and figure out every situation, scenario that might have happened between, I don't know, last two dates we went on, to be like figuring out what I did wrong, how I was wrong, analyzing everything that could have made me feel like there was something wrong with me, that made him think that, oh, we're not compatible. I mean, yes, I was feeling that too. I was feeling more friendship with him, and I did feel romantic feelings towards him, but ultimately the wounds did come up. Like, I felt more of my wounds than like the attachment to the relationship. So when I was tuning in and really asking my inner child, like, hey, tell me everything you're feeling, my inner child was like, oh, there's something wrong with me. I feel like he thinks that there's something wrong with me. I'm too feminine. No one's gonna love me because I'm too feminine. I'm unworthy of love because I'm too feminine. There's something wrong with me because I'm feminine. So all these aspects of me being feminine were being unloved. Felt like they were unlovable. Felt like they couldn't be seen, heard. It was just very much internalized. I feel like to an extent it's almost like internalized homophobia, because if you even look at the gay community, most feminine men, they're attracted to more masculine men, and that's what his rationalization or his reasoning. The guy with the guy I went on a date with, this guy was saying that was the reason, like, he wasn't attracted to feminine men. So he just confirmed my inner child's like worst nightmare, being like, oh my god, there is something wrong with me. But then I just had to go back in and just be like soothing and loving that part of myself, to be like, no, and this is you, this is beautiful. Because I listened to this podcast yesterday about, and it's very controversial, some of the women, for good reason, refer to trans men as women and then trans women as men, which I can understand why they're using those terminologies, because it's just, the movement is crazy, but that's a tangent. But in the episode, and I can link that in the description, there was this one lady talking about how our brains are traumatized. Our brains have been when there's trauma, there is also a physical component to it that I didn't realize, that the physical component damages your brain. So whether that's like when you're growing up and you're in your growing phases, that you realize, oh, I'm traumatized, or you don't realize that you're traumatized, so that the excuse me, I have oatmeal down my throat. But you don't realize that you're wounded, that your physical brain is traumatized. So it's almost like we don't know how to heal our brain. So that made me realize that these beliefs that come from trauma, of believing that I'm too feminine, because I grew up in a society that was opposed to, and still America is kind of opposed to, feminine men. That's why there's like this force of transition. But when growing up in Japan, I really took on the belief that there's something wrong with me. And in the Enneagram system, or like personality test, whatever you want to call it. That whole system, like I think it's called the reformer. So number one, so I'm here to make change, but also my core belief is believing that there's something wrong with me, and being afraid that being afraid of being perceived as there's something wrong with me. So these wounds were showing up because growing up I made myself feel wrong and traumatized my brain to believe in the delusion that, oh, there is something wrong with me for being a feminine man. And as easy as it sounds, but hard to do, to, well, maybe it doesn't necessarily have to be hard, but as hard as it may seem, but sounds easy, is kind of like learning to love those parts of yourself and comfort those parts of yourself. When I was experiencing that internalized, I would call it homophobia, being like, oh, being a feminine gay man, or just insecurity of being feminine, that there was something wrong with me, which isn't true. And this is for all the feminine gay men out there, and young kids that are gay and feminine. It's okay. It's so okay to be feminine and gay. You know, I don't know if I'll ever will find a partner, find a man to fall in love with. I don't know. I'm okay with that. Because like once a guy told me that he's not interested, it kind of gave me the sense of freedom, because I'm moving back to my parents' place within like 3 weeks. So like now I'm like, okay, now I don't have to think about this long distance relationship type of thing, because it's like an hour away from where he lives if I move back to my parents' place. So I don't have to do those gymnastics. So that was a relief in a way, but it's just brought up beliefs of like, oh, there is something wrong with me. My femininity is wrong. So these beliefs are showing up. And I feel fine now. I'm just like, I'm more in love with my femininity more than ever, just because I know how to soothe my inner child. And if anybody wants to, have a meditation, because I did this on my own, of a guide, like my personal guided internalized homophobia, loving that internalized homophobia part of myself, and kind of soothing that part, because a big chunk of healing comes from loving the darkest parts of you and soothing those parts, because in the moment when you were experiencing trauma, you didn't have the availability to soothe that part of yourself, other than maybe other coping mechanisms, but not in a way that's like, you're safe, you're loved, you're okay. Being feminine is beautiful. It's okay to be feminine. You're still loved. You're still lovable being feminine. It's almost like you see this sad, wounded part of yourself crying, needing to be heard, so you let that part of yourself say whatever, and then you share the truth with that child that, no, like, there is nothing wrong with you. If someone's not attracted to you, it is what it is. You can't change that. And it's better that someone's being honest with you than lying, because that's gonna create more stuff for you in the future that creates more conflict, and you don't need that. It's better for someone like the guy that I was talking to be honest. And the truth is, for all and any gay man out there that is feminine, or who's just a feminine man, it's okay. You're so lovable. You're so loved. You don't need to be in a relationship to be loved or lovable. I love you. You're still loved. In my eyes, you're still lovable. You're still amazing. To fully express yourself in a world that does not like seeing femininity expressed freely, rock on. Rock on. It's amazing to be feminine. My voice, so feminine. The way I say things, the way I communicate, relate to people is very feminine. Like the traditional, like, sexist kind of feminine. Like, it just is. And it's just kind of coming out of my soul. When I'm feeling the best, I am so feminine. Like I laugh in a cute way. I say things dramatically in like such a, like, I don't know, not traditional gay men, like it's not like over the top. It's more like just freely being me from my soul, and I'm happy and joyful. And why would I? And it doesn't make sense to go against that because it's in my nature, it's in my soul. My soul truly, truly, truly wants to express the femininity in the way it does when I feel most joyful, the most excited, most ecstatic. Why deny that part of myself when it's so free? And if someone just isn't attracted to that, maybe there's someone better out there. It's not meant to be with that guy. And that's beautiful. It's learning to sit with those parts of myself that I feel like there's something wrong with me, and telling and loving and comforting and ending the loop of trauma with that. Because when those thoughts and feelings show up, it means that your nervous system, or if some physiological part of yourself is like, we haven't processed this trauma, it's coming up, I'm scared, like, please listen to me. I'm freaking out. Like, that's kind of what like your physical body is telling you. And when you listen and tune in and love that part of yourself and soothe and calm down that part of yourself with comforting words, and whether that's through dancing and feeling your body, or just simply listening and freely expressing or sharing out loud, to allowing that part of yourself to just freely say anything. Like, for example, let's say my wounded inner child from that experience with a guy is like, oh my god, there's something wrong with me. So I'll just be like if that feeling is showing up, I'll just be like, okay, my love, what are you trying to tell me? I feel scared. I feel like there's something wrong with me. I feel like I'm thinking that I'm afraid that he thinks that there's something wrong with me because I'm too feminine. And allowing those thoughts and feelings to show up freely without shying away from it, and holding that inner child with such comfortness, with listening ears, like you're just this parent that's like, let me take care of you, let me love you, let me listen to you, in such a way that comforts that feminine part of me, because that's what I needed growing up. I didn't have that growing up. There, it would be like on a daily, someone would be like, you FAGGOT. Is that how you spell it? Like the gay slur, like, but in Japanese, they would say okama. Every single day, like at grade school, no one would defend me. I didn't know how to defend myself. I was always scared. Even in family members, they would use that word and laugh. So I never felt safe. So this trauma loop of believing that there's something wrong with me for being feminine, because all I was freely, like, when your kids are just so free with expressing like, if you're feminine, you're gonna show up as it. And that's beautiful. That's so beautiful. But somewhere along the line, a wounded part of myself experienced too much trauma to the point where it's like, hey, I don't want to do this. This is wrong. I can't do this. I feel unsafe doing this, so I don't want to do this. So I gotta come now, as an adult, realizing this, I get to comfort this part of myself. I get to love, understand, feel, and soothe that part of myself with kind words and understanding, with more love, instead of adding more to it. So I ask you to love that part of yourself, to sit with or write with that part of yourself and freely express what has been needing to be shared with you. And what kind words can you give that part of yourself every time that shows up? Can you show up for that part of yourself every single time with love? And it's okay if you mess up. It's okay if you keep, what is the word? It's okay if you mess up and still add to that traumatized part of yourself. It's okay. Like, it's gonna take some time to process, to feel, and love that feminine part of yourself again. But I believe in you because I love my feminine parts of myself. Like, it's just the most beautiful part of me, to be honest, to just naturally be feminine, to, you know, put on earrings, to dress how I dress. Sometimes I wear skirts, sometimes I wear dresses. Like my voice, you can hear it. It is not like this. It is not so deep. Like it is. Oh my god, that frequency change. It's beautiful. It's taking time to recognize in your body by feeling safe in your femininity to the point where you can recognize that it's beautiful. I'm not saying you're gonna do it today, tomorrow, but it's possible to enjoy and love the most feminine parts of you. Embrace it because you're beautiful. That's where I'm going to leave this video. Thank you so much. I love you. Have a beautiful day. Bye.